on to a very special episode on Overdrive. First, let me start by wishing you all a very happy and prosperous Diwali. Now, to kickstart this very exciting festive weekend, we have the wildest side of 5 of the range-topping adventure motorcycles in India.
With their tall stance, plenty of ground clearance and exceptional seating comfort, adventure bikes have arrived and started dominating the motorcycle space across segments.
So much so that if Napoleon were alive today, he would certainly want to learn a thing or two about domination from adventure motorcycles. And especially this bunch right here, it is the epitome, it is the flagship, it stands right at the top of the pyramid. It creates the halo for its respective brands. And then it also sells dreams to the onlookers. Dreams of comfort, dreams of long distance rides, dreams of arriving to picturesque locations like these.
And they want to ride motorcycles off-road. 250 kilo motorcycles. Trying to look like cross-country rally heroes.
Yeah, that too.
Are they really that good at off-road though? We will find out eventually. Oh, and that guy is Nikhil Balakrishna, one of the trainers at Big Rock Dirt Park. He is an off-road expert, as you may have guessed already, and is joined by ex-CNBC tester Areeb Sherwani and Vignesh Chandrasekharan, an old friend of Overdrive, who thinks choosing between tarmac and off-road is like choosing between a good biryani and a good pizza. It all depends on what you're craving for. And these range-topping ADVs satiate all those cravings exceptionally well. But their big engines, weight and price can make them intimidating for many.
Not everyone who buys these motorcycles will go to the trails. You will be surprised at how many of these heavyweights will never hit the trails. They will stick to tarmac. And when it comes to tarmac, the Multistrada owns it.
It's 1158 cc's of V4 goodness, coming from an engine that is aptly named Gran Turismo. It's surprisingly tractable at slow speeds, but the real party starts after 6000 RPM, and this Italian guzzles like there's no tomorrow. So range is always a concern, but it loves devouring miles, and that is an absolute joy. More so if you can afford yourself the recently launched Pikes Peak Edition with the 17-inch sports bike wheels. But despite the 19-inch front, the standard V4S also approaches winding roads as if it were a racetrack. And yes, there is a suite of racetrack-derived electronics to ensure that the fun never ends, nor does it go out of hand. Around bends, it may not feel as sharp as a Panigale, but it is the ADV that MotoGP riders would hop on if they were a part of this test. 200 km an hour feels like 130 on this new Multistrada. And in a good way. This V4 feels more refined and friendly than the older 1260 or any L-twin Ducati for that matter. That said, it isn't subdued. You will be surprised at how well this hefty German can lean into corners and feel weightless doing that, even if you were to get yourself the heftier GSA. This is thanks to the mass centralization achieved by its cleverly designed chassis, the trickery of the unique suspension setup which minimizes nosedive and keeps the steering light with its slim forks, and of course the inherent balance of the Boxer twin, all of which comes together to prove that weight, just like age, is just a number if the physics are right. In the hands of even an average rider, this so-called uncle or cow bike can scrape its engine guards at the apex. While the Boxer engine doesn't restrict the cornering clearance, it certainly doesn't rev as rapidly as some of the competition. This is a motor that needs to be enjoyed in the low and the mid-range, and it's easily the most tractable motorcycle of this lot.
We're just getting started with a lot of fun. Stay with us. You're watching Overdrive. Welcome back. You're watching our big adventure bike shootout here on Overdrive. Now, adventure motorcycles are certainly not for the faint-hearted, but they definitely are for memorable escapades.
Can you believe the multi-strata model line has been around for 20 years now? The new one, compared to some of its predecessors, uses a conventional wall train, which gives it longer service intervals. Now, the GS compares to the multi-strata on the service intervals, even on the service costs. The shift cam tech, lovely, it works perfectly for its off-road and on-road nature. At the same time, that engine, that tepid noise clatter can get annoying at times. This is also the only bike apart from the Tiger 1200 which gets a shaft drive. And though shaft drive theoretically is maintenance free, this one needs a check at least once every 6 months for possible rusting. And that's because of the water getting in. I don't know where it's getting in from, however. So if you're riding a lot through water crossings, slush, etc., you need that check even more often. A simple hack that BMW seems to have told its dealers now, especially in India, is to drill a small hole below the shaft drive. I don't know if it works, but that is certainly a matter of worry.
But the merits of the shaft drive far outweigh the more frequent maintenance demanded by the chain mechanism, especially for such long-distance machines. While the multistrada has cylinder deactivation to save fuel and emissions at low speeds, BMW has shift cam to balance emissions and power delivery across the range, and the new 1250 shift cam tech seems better than the one that was originally introduced in 2019.
A new 1300 GS is expected next year, or maybe even this EICMA, and that will take these learnings further. Not belonging to the European Union, but slotting right in between the German and the Italian is the Brit, the Tiger 1200, the newest kid on the block.
A neutral rider will find the nosedive of the Tiger 1200 to be alarming at times. Add to it the extremely sharp braking, which can make things unnerving for some, and it makes me wonder if the Tiger even needs this level of sharp braking. But spend some time and you realize that the Tiger 1200 is surprisingly good around the bends, and the pronounced nosedive I spoke about is because of the off-road focused Rally Pro variant that you see here, which has a really long suspension travel. If you're not looking to ever hit the trails or the dunes, you can save a few and get the road-focused Tiger 1200 GT instead.
Compared to the old Tiger 1200 or the Africa Twin that we brought to this region a few years back, the new ones feel like they have reversed the roles of their predecessors. This time, the Tiger 1200 is the one that feels wild and light and agile, and it's the Africa Twin that feels like the heftier one.
That is because this is the adventure sport variant with the big 24-litre fuel tank. It feels more top-heavy than the Tiger when running a full tank. But that is the only downside. The engine continues to be a gem. It's also offered with a manual transmission now, and the chassis geometry, though comfort biased, makes the bike nimble around the bends, and the skinny tires ensure easy steering manners. The suspension feels squishy around the bends though, and the ATAS is the only one here that does not get electronically adjustable dampers. And it quickly shows how much of a disadvantage that is over the others if you don't know how to set up the suspension manually. Moving on to the Harley-Davidson Pan America, a surprise package of sorts. It has the raciest engine that I've ever sampled on a Harley. And though the ergonomics are a bit cruiser-like, it can do some seriously quick speeds on the straights as well as the corners. But to enjoy it at speed, one needs to up their game and compensate for the heavy weight of the motorcycle, which may not be everyone's cup of tea.
The Pan America is best enjoyed out on the highway. All of Harley-Davidson's cruiser learnings shine through on this motorcycle, making it a nice, comfortable, laid-back mile muncher. Laid back in terms of the ergonomics, but that engine is one punchy motor. I really like it. The other bit I like is what they've done with the semi-active suspension, the way they've tuned it, and a few tricks that they have up their sleeve for this setup. It works like a charm on the Indian highways, but it also has some tricks out here on the off-road. But we'll come to that in a bit.
Speaking of the highway, the Multistrada offers the best balance of speed and ride quality, even if you are riding with a pillion and luggage. The lower seating doesn't really give you a very commanding view of the road, but it leaves no room for complaint while munching miles at that speed. The Africa Twin offers the better seating comfort than its predecessor, but it doesn't quite match up to the comfort levels of the competition. More so with the Tiger 1200 around, which has superb seating ergonomics and excellent highway cruising capabilities even on this off-roader Rally Pro.
Despite the gruff engine note of the GS, at the end of a long day like this, a long day in the saddle, it instantly tells you, it reminds you that this is the best balance of superior seating comfort, superior weather protection, better luggage carrying capacity as well. Out of the box, yes, and if you go with more purpose-built equipment, like the stuff that we have from GV, the windscreen or the 3-box panniers, etc., even then, it just enhances the experience. It doesn't really lose out on anything. And that's the beauty of the kind of balance this motorcycle offers. All the motorcycles you see here have their own proprietary luggage systems as well. But what we've done is we've gone with the more conventional options from GV. The reason for that is this actually works out better. Unless you're going to keep the motorcycle for eons and eons and you only want to stick to the manufacturer's luggage. Usually how it works is if you're upgrading or moving from one motorcycle to the other, or even going world touring and you just want to maybe rent a motorcycle somewhere, these kind of luggage systems come in handy because it is the same form factor. All you need is different mounts, and that's the reason why we've gone with these particular luggage systems. Now these include everything from hard panniers to soft panniers, tank bags, etc.
All this is good, but now can we remove all of the luggage, keep the protective parts on and go off-roading?
Well, the world is your playground, my friend. Go ahead, go for it.
Off-road evaluations after this short break. Come right back, you're watching Overdrive. Welcome back, you're watching a big adventure bike shootout here on Overdrive. Now, adventure motorcycles are known to kick up a lot of fun while tackling off-road terrain. So here's what our riders think about all of these 5 adventure motorcycles.
So Nikhil, let's begin with you and the Tiger 1200. You've been having a lot of fun with all the motorcycles, of course, but also jumping a lot with the newest kid on the block, that's the 1200. So what has been your pick for the off-road bit?
Let me start off with the bottom order. That would be the Harley. It is definitely torquey. It's got the torque to keep chugging along. But the main problem with that, I feel, is the front end. The front end is very heavy. So anytime I want to do some technical stuff, it just slides or it just gets stuck. So with that regard, I would say it's somewhere close to an adventure motorcycle, but not really a really good one. But it can get you places where other Harleys can't get you. Next would definitely be the Ducati. Now the Ducati is very powerful, very nimble as well, especially on tarmac. The same thing goes when we take it off-road as well, but only to a certain extent. Same thing there as well. If I want to do slow technical stuff in that, the front definitely feels a little bit more heavier, but it definitely has very good capabilities to, of course, changing up a few bits and pieces here and there, making it suit to the rider the way he rides. I'm sure it is as capable as the Tiger or the Africa Twin. In my ranking, the BMW is in the middle. It's the 3rd ranking. The only reason why I would say that, it is, for me at least, it is very less dramatic to ride on. But it is the most easiest machine to ride on off-road. It's very balanced. The power delivery is very linear. It's very manageable. It goes where you want to. The most common phrase that everybody talks about or says when you ride a motorcycle is look where you want to go, and this thing will go where you are looking at. So in those terms, for anybody who's picking up an adventure motorcycle and that's your first motorcycle, or that's their first big motorcycle, then the BMW is definitely something that they need to look out for, because it's very easy to ride. Next comes a close second, the Tiger, for sure. It's powerful. It's got all the knickknacks that it needs to send you to the moon if you're brave enough. And it definitely has that maneuverability even at slow speeds. The one thing that I didn't like about the Tiger in slow speeds is if you don't keep the revs at a little higher, it tends to bog. Not bog, but stall. It happened to me. I'm sure it could happen to anybody as well. The things that I did on the Tiger, I wouldn't attempt on the Harley any given day for any X amount of money, because I value my life more than money. And the top one is definitely the Africa Twin. The way it handles is very much like a dirt bike, because I've been riding dirt bikes and I can say that yes, it definitely handles a lot like a dirt bike. The only thing that I didn't like about the Africa Twin is the electronic setup. Like, it's very complex. In order for me to switch off the rear ABS, apparently there's a whole bunch of pages that I need to go through to switch it off. So I actually didn't do that, but I'm sure if I did do that, I would be able to do a lot more things with that motorcycle than what I did today. So that's definitely taking the top step of the ladder in terms of the off-road part.
Now, if you had to pick out that one all-rounder, right, that you would buy as the one adventure machine that you would have in your garage, that would be able to do everything for you, what would it be?
I would definitely go with the Tiger for sure. When it comes to the electronics, it's very basic. I can set it up the way I want very quickly. I can cruise on the highways, try and keep up with the faster bunch of the people here and the motorcycles here as well. And when it comes to off-road as well, it gives me the confidence to push. In spite of the higher ground clearance and my shorter stature, I'm still able to maneuver it. So I would definitely say the Tiger is my pick.
What about you, Vignesh?
So for me as well, it is the Tiger. I found it very comfortable on the straights, and on the ghat section as well, it was fairly good as compared to GS. GS, I found it sharper, but then considering the post-purchase, the experience, the service, the trust with the brand, I would like to go with the Tiger.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
Well, if I had the money, I'd definitely go in for the GS because it's the most easiest, it's the most comfortable bike I've ridden to date. But considering that I don't, I'd definitely have to go with the Africa Twin because, yes, well, I do like to keep it simple. Although the electronics bit is a bit complex, as he mentioned before, that's a bit of a downer. But capability-wise, all round on the highway, off-road, man, that thing is just amazing. It never ceases to amaze me. You never get bored of that machine, and that's why I think I'd pick that one out of the book.
What about you, Arib?
For me, it's the Multistrada V4 for specific reasons. Great low end, which Ducatis previously did not have. At least the L Twin did not have. It's great in the city, it's great on the highway, and it's great in the hills. And I don't go camping, I stay in hotels. So if I have to go touring long distance, the Multistrada V4 is the perfect pick for me. It does everything right and suits my riding style perfectly well. It's got that right amount of manicness, it's got the right amount of hooliganism. It adapts very well to that kind of behavior, despite inherently being a sophisticated and polite Ducati.
Right. So I think the takeaway from this entire story and what we've done, is that every motorcycle will fit every rider differently, depending on what you want from the motorcycle. What are you exactly looking for in your adventure tourer? Highway, off-road, a bit of both, a bit of everything, a bit of nothing. You just probably want an adventure motorcycle because it's the in thing right now. So no matter what your point of view is towards buying a motorcycle, every motorcycle here will fit every rider differently. My pick out of all of this, since I've been silent on this topic, would still remain the GS. I already own one, and that's for a reason. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. This, I think, is the all-rounder for me. But whatever we've seen with the Tiger 1200, I mean, it's impressive. Knowing what the Tiger 1200 was before, and now looking at the new one, they have definitely come very close to the GS in terms of the smoothness, in terms of the sharpness, in terms of everything that they wanted to deliver. And then being a Triumph, they've also taken it a whole notch ahead with the kind of engine performance that they have to offer. And now with that ground clearance, that kind of suspension travel, it's just become, I think, the best all-rounder there is right now. That's my opinion again. The Harley-Davidson, I think we've all sort of agreed that instead of calling it an adventure motorcycle or an adventure tourer, I think the term that we'd like to coin here for it is adventure cruiser. So like everyone said, if You've ridden Harley Davidsons. This is now the best Harley Davidson out there, especially from an Indian point of view. If you want to come to terrain like this, if you want to go road tripping in India, this is the best Harley Davidson to do it with. But what's bigger is that the promise that this motorcycle brings along. This shows that Harley Davidson is headed in the right direction. This keeps up with all the other motorcycles in everything that they're doing. It's not excelling at any of that, but it's keeping up with everything. And that's a very good promise to begin on, because now Harley Davidson can try to be a part of this gang instead of being a bit of a misfit. But like I said, I think that is the best all-rounder so far in the package. It is the newest motorcycle. They have had the time to sort of benchmark themselves against everything. And I think Triumph have delivered. But we are not here to pick out a winner. We are here to show you what every motorcycle can do. And now the picking up is something that you have to do. The informed choice is something that you have to make.
Well, we've enjoyed filming and editing this story, and we do hope that you enjoyed watching it just as much. Before we sign out to celebrate the Festival of Lights, let me remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our latest updates on our various social media platforms. Have a great weekend.